Good evening. Pursuant to the governor's executive orders, the governor has made a disaster declaration in response to COVID-19. In accordance with 5 ILCS 127E, the head of the public bodies determined that an in-person meeting of all the individual council members under the Open Meetings Act is not practical or prudent. The Chief Administrative Officer, Joe Wade, will attend in person. The council and members of the public may continue to attend the meeting virtually via Zoom, as attendance in the boardroom is not feasible. A Zoom meeting participation instruction was sent through the agenda. In accordance with the applicable statutes of the state of Illinois and the ordinance of the city of Prospect Heights, notice is hereby given that the City Council regular teleconference meeting of the mayor and the City Council of the city of Prospect Heights is being held Monday, May 24th, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. Mayor Nicholas J. Helmer presiding. This meeting an opportunity teleconference. There is a 5-minute time limit for speakers, during which teleconference meeting it is anticipated there will be discussion and consideration of, and if so determined, action upon the matters contained in the following.
All right. Yes.
Our sound's a little off.
Oh, we have a quorum. Sounds off. I've always been off. Hang on a second. Let me try this. Any better? Let me get closer.
Yes, it's good. I hear you.
It's good?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Joanna, will you take the roll for the presence of a quorum of the aldermen, please?
Good evening, everyone. Michelle Cameron, Ward 1.
Here.
Kathleen Quinn, Ward 2.
Present.
Wendy Morgan Adams, Ward 3. Wendy Morgan Adams, Ward 3.
Here.
Alderman Danielle Nash, Ward 4.
Here.
Alderman Dolick, Ward 5.
I'm here.
Thank you. We have a full quorum present. All 5 aldermen have responded that they are there, and we'll trust that response. Good. Good job. Joanna, let's go ahead with the approval of minutes that falls under your bailiwick.
And we have the approval of minutes that we need to approve. The May 10th, 2021 workshop teleconference meeting minutes.
All right, let's have a motion to approve those.
So moved.
Second.
Need a second? We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion or correction for those meeting minutes? There being none, take a roll call, please.
Alderman Dolick.
Aye.
Alderman Morgan Adams.
Aye.
Alderman Quinn.
Aye.
Alderman Dash.
Aye.
Alderman Cameron.
Aye.
We have a 5-0 positive vote. We can move on, I think, to the appointment and confirmation proclamation. Joe, will you handle that, please?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and everybody. Yes, item 3A is the appointment of Bruce Mellon as chairperson of the Plan Commission Zoning Board of Appeals. And we will entertain a motion for that.
So moved. Morgan Adams.
We have a motion, we need a second. Alderman Dolick has a second. I spent quite some time with Bruce. He's the right guy for this job. So unless there are any objections, let's take a roll call, please.
Yeah, Mayor Helmer, I'd also like to comment. You know,
yes.
I had the pleasure of working with Mr. Mellon on the Planning and Zoning Board since his appointment, and I'm very pleased that we're seeking an appointment for him this evening to replace me as the chairperson of that board. Not only does he have a substantial amount of experience serving on the board, but his professional work experience makes him uniquely qualified. So I'm very excited that they'll have Bruce to lead them.
Good. He has done a great job. He's been there. He's knowledgeable. And interestingly enough, I found that he resides in Arlington countryside, where of course that's our big target for getting things done better and become, more appreciative of what is over there. There's a lot of good-looking land. There's a lot of good-looking housing, and I think Bruce, as a chairperson of the PZBA, on further issues to come, and he will do a good job. So we can move on. Joe, how about item 4?
We need to take a vote, Mayor.
All right. Let's take a vote. Roll call, please.
Alderman Morgan Adams,
Aye.
Alderman Quinn,
Aye.
Alderman Dolick,
Aye.
Alderman Cameron,
Aye.
Alderman Dash.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Mr. Mellon is now part of the PZBA group. Joe, are you on 4, or do we do something else?
Yes, 4 would be next. That's public comment on agenda matters. Madam Clerk, is anyone registered?
No, not this time. Thank you, Joe. And as usual, if this occurs, if there's someone who'd like to add a comment, please introduce yourselves at this time.
Name and what is your wishes as to what you're going to talk about?
Exactly.
Do we have a name?
Is there anyone who would like to speak on any matter on the agenda? Guess not.
And if there are none, which does bring us to item 5, staff elected officials and commission reports. We do have the monthly report from Chicago Executive Airport, and at this meeting is Director Jim Kiefer.
Thank you, Joe. Hello, Mayor, City Council, City staff. Thanks for having me. Things are going very well at the airport, as I always report. This month is no different. We as an organization have gone to in-person meetings, and it was a little touch and go at our first meeting back. Little mechanical media problems getting people on board, but it limited audience and social spacing. So we did achieve it. It is going fairly well. We got some kinks to work out. The financial outlook at the airport is really well. Flight operations are up, fuel flowage is up, and we've recuperated from COVID extremely well. Customs building is on schedule. We hope to see everyone at the grand opening in late July. Atlantic is going to build their new hangar, and they should be open in sometime, probably August, late August. So they're right behind us. It might go into September. So that's all good news. RCEP, Residential Sound Improvement Program, as of now, we have 445 applicants. We're starting the 10 prototype, or the 10 first homes, hopefully this summer, because COVID is less restrictive. So we're going forward on that. June 2nd will be an RCEP meeting held at the airport. Accounting award. Jason Griffin is our accountant at the airport, and he has been given an award by the Government Finance Officer Association, GFAO, or OA, and he got an award from them, and we're very happy with him. Rock the Runway, instead of being earlier in the summer, is now scheduled for August 21st. So, we are searching for a new executive director. We've picked 3 finalists on firms. One is ADK, one is ACS, and the other one is Government HR. So that'll be going in the next couple of months. It's a 12-week process. So in the fall, late fall, early winter, we'll have a new director. That's it for my report. And if anyone has any questions, please entertain me.
Jim, there's a issue, not an issue, but a program plan for our Jamie Abbott. Can you enlighten us on that?
There is an open house coming up for Jamie. If you'd like to attend, I don't have that date with me, but I can get it to everyone on the city council. But it's to recognize his achievements, and he's very well respected, and he will do well in the other places, and we've chose to move on. So I'll get that information to you, Mayor, and I'll let it be known.
All right, thank you.
I
Joe,
think
back to you.
I think we did receive a date, by email. I believe it's this Thursday.
That is correct.
12:30 to 1.
Next Thursday, next
This
week,
Thursday, May 27th.
this Thursday. And it's a virtual, it's not at the
No,
airport.
I think it is at the, I thought it was
Yeah, it's in person.
1020
Oh, okay,
Plant Road.
yeah. All right, so if you shoot us the details, we already have it from Alderman Quinn, but it would be good to, kind of give us a heads up by tomorrow. All right, Jim?
Yes. Any other questions?
All right, back to Joe, please.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item, Mr. Mayor, is the April Treasurer's Report by Finance Director Sherry Grafin.
Thanks, Joe. Good evening, everyone, Mr. Mayor, members of council, management directors, staff. Our end is preliminarily closed. We had our April 30th close this past month, and we're preparing now for the audit, so I wanted to just mention that these numbers are preliminary, but we did come in fairly well. We are at 116% of revenue budgeted and 90% of our expenses, and so that leaves us with approximately about $1 million plus in our fund balance, where our original budget was about $1 million to the negative. So we had a nice swing there this year. We did get some grant money that was unexpected that contributed to that, as well as some higher property taxes. And I just want to highlight a few of the revenue streams that came in very strong. Our sales and use tax are both up over 100%. We got 120% on the sales tax of a budget of $870, and 150% on a $432,000 budget for use tax. Our income tax, which is our highest revenue stream, we budgeted $1,080,000, and we are at 130% collected on. So some of our bigger revenue streams came in very strong. Vehicle stickers, we did a great job on vehicle stickers. We're up to almost 900,000 collected. Keep in mind that does have a carriover for the deferral from last year, but our budget was $725 this year, and we're at 100% of the budget on vehicle stickers. Staff did a really great job on collection of old stickers, as well as the sales of the new stickers. I think compliance has increased significantly over the last couple of years. So that's been working very well. Our non-home rule sales tax is also up over 100%. We're at 112% of a $230,000 budget. And the rest of our revenues are pretty much in line. We are low on the food and beverage, obviously due to the COVID closures during the year. So we are under budget just a little bit, 86% of $232,000. And then our hotel tax is down. We're at 28% of $525,000. So those were our shortages on our revenue streams. Other than that, we maintained our expenses in the general fund. Most of our departments are at about a 90% expenditure level. We have 70% in city council department, 85% expenditure in administration, 83% in the legal, and the rest of the departments are in the low 90s. So nice job for all of our department heads and managers in terms of keeping the costs contained as best we could, especially in this uncertain environment. We're planning for the audit coming up in the middle of July. We've already done the prelim work. We don't expect any significant difference, and so we hope to close it out with a nice fund balance increase of about that $1 million. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer at this time. No questions? Okay, all good then. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
When you're doing so well. That's good news. Thank you very much. We're doing so well also. Joe, back to you.
Item C is the City Independence Day Parade Report. Mr. Mayor, we had a staff group review the parade for this year. Certainly everybody wants to get back to normal activities, but there are still some concerns. So we in the staff group included Chief Zalaki, Director of Public Works, Mark Roscoe, Peter Falcone, myself. The person that's closest to the parade that works very hard each year is Deputy Clerk Karen Schulteis. And we reviewed our parade activities, and this year we're recommending a bit of a hybrid in recognition of the circumstances. We're recommending, first of all, that the parade be held on Saturday, July 3rd instead of the 4th. And the reason being is that we are recommending utilizing the St. Alphonsus Parish parking lot, but that's Mass time. That's a busy time for their parking lot, so they're just not available. They asked us to consider the 3rd, and we thought, why not? It's a 3-day holiday weekend, so we're recommending that the parade, the staging area be at St. Alphonsus parking lot, that it proceed to Old Willow Road, Old Willow to Schoenbeck, and this year, instead of going to the New Canaan Church, we're recommending that it end at School District 23 site on Schoenbeck Road, Betsy Ross School. We reviewed the alternative of also looking at the train station. Chief Zalaki has a number of safety concerns there, that the parade crossing 2 railroad tracks at an angle. At a time, sometimes their parade people are not at their most attentive. And also if a train comes through, and we've all had that experience there, particularly the long Canadian National Freight trains, that can split the parade, and you'll have half of the parade going forward, and the other half might wait for considerable time, as sometimes there's some very slow Canadian National trains there. So that's the recommendation, Mr. Mayor, for this year. It's also a motorized parade. We thought we'd kind of reduce the exposure of people being close to each other and groups marching together, particularly children. So that's what's recommended by the staff committee.
All right, let's have some comments, please. Alderman Morgan.
Well, I had no problem with the 3rd. I have some questions about what, normally, we throw out candy. It's usually wrapped, lollipops, wrapped candy. Are we still going to be able to do that? We don't throw out dog bones. So I want to know what would be the situation with that. I think it would be, I have no problem. I would be in agreement to do it at the St. Alphonse location on Saturday if that, if everyone else agrees to that. But I just want to get some understanding as to how we're going to do this. And then my question is, if we're not going to be at the Hebron Church, can we expand the area of the parade and into other areas? We concentrate in a very small section, and since if we're not going to be again having the activities over at the Hebron Church and the food, will we be able to expand the area of the parade so we can get out to more residents in other wards and other areas? Those would be my questions.
Mayor, would you like me to respond?
Yes, please.
Okay. Very good questions. And we spent probably the most time was on whether traditionally throwing candy and so forth. And we actually thought at the end to go ahead and do it. At least what we're finding is that the exposure of COVID is more through the air rather than contact. At least that's what we found, and I know there's a ton of information on that. And the other reason, we also thought too, there are so many groups of people, it'd be pretty hard to stop that. But more, we didn't see that as much of a safety concern as the proximity of people. The second part of the question, that's very good. We also discussed that because just before, during the holidays, just before I think late December, so we had an evening motorized holiday parade that because people weren't walking in it, we could go farther. So I think the question is if we could expand it. Yeah, we could work at that. Maybe we can go down Camp McDonald. Since it's motorized, it'll be moving quicker. We can go down Camp McDonald and then to Old Willow, kind of route through the city. Certainly we can do that, and we'll have time to route that. So if it's the council desire to add to the route, certainly we can adjust the routing.
Thank you.
Comments? Anyone else, please?
This is Alderman Cameron. Wendy, that's a great idea to be able to expand. But also, depending, hopefully, anybody, because most of the time, there's people walking, and that's a lot of walking. So we probably want to limit to how many people that are walking, or, how many people that are, because that's a lot of walking, and it does take a strain on the feet, too. So.
Michelle, so they're, in the report, they're basically saying that there would be no walkers allowed. And so, and I guess that's where, historically, being able to walk in the parade has been a real advantage for, some of the sports teams and local groups. And I guess I'm not quite sure how, the Girl Scouts or the Indian Princesses walking is any different than cramming 20 of them into the back of someone's pickup truck.
Yeah.
Judgment call.
So,
Go ahead, Joe. Joe?
It's a judgment call.
Yes, I don't know. I don't know that I'm totally support eliminating people walking in the parade. Again, it's a choice. Vaccinations are readily available. If you chose to vaccinate yourself, you're safe. If you haven't, there's risk involved with everything that we do. So, I don't know. I think eliminating walkers might be unnecessary.
Well, if I could,
I'm not saying
Alderman Quinn?
how much of a path it's going to be for walking. I didn't say anything about vaccinating or anything. I'm just saying, depending on how long of a path we're talking about,
Well, Michelle, right, but staff is recommending this evening that they want to eliminate walkers from the parade.
Okay.
Right, so that's why.
Okay, that's fine. I understand.
Whether we think eliminating walkers is the right thing to do, or whether maybe there's room for discussion.
This is Morgan Adams. I would support Alderman Dash to say that walking should be permitted. I don't know. I agree. What is the loading people in a car is not going to be any less problematic than, or any more problematic than having them walk. Certainly, if they're walking, they would be farther apart, actually. So I think that walking should stay in as far as the parade goes. I would be in favor of that.
anyone else, please? Go ahead.
This is Alderman Quinn.
Yeah.
I like the idea of walking too. I do think that the staff has put in an incredible amount of work, and I think they probably are trying to, scale things down from the standpoint of overall safety. and including walking, I don't know if you, Joe, if you guys have reached out to these organizations to see if, in fact, people want their children or their families walking. I don't know what your criteria was for deciding against it. However, if we do decide to keep like the sports teams and the kids walking, then you can't spread the parade all over the community, because to Michelle's point, you know, when you're walking in the parade, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to increase the bandwidth there. So I'm just curious, Joe, have you reached out to any, I know you have, to the staging areas and the church and that sort of thing, but have you reached out to any of the organizations that previously had walkers?
No, because we thought we'd get feedback from the council first, but this is about the time we would do that. I mean, it doesn't take a long lead time to get groups together for a parade. This would be about the time we'd be asking them, but we thought we'd go to the council first to get the council's direction for how they'd like the parade to proceed.
Mayor, may I say something?
Yes, go ahead.
This is the Deputy Clerk.
Who are you?
Deputy Clerk Schulteis. So in the past, we've always ended at Hebron Church, and they had a luncheon.
Karen, you froze.
You froze.
Uh-oh.
All right, you're back.
Am I back?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. I don't know.
It's the Wi-Fi.
Try turning your video off real quick.
Try.
All right, do you hear her now?
Do you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
So, in the past, we've been able to go to Hebron Church, and that's where the walkers would end up, and then there'd be drinks and food. We'll be going now probably to District 23, and they've already told us we can do that, that there's not an issue. We're not sure we can go to Hebron Church. So if we do have walkers, they're kind of going to, the parade will probably just end at District 23. There won't be a luncheon or anything like that, so unless we want to provide something. So that would be only one of the other things about having the walkers.
Well, if I could say this, people are going to go walking whether we like it or not. So you want to follow up with a street sweeper and or the police kicking them off. That there's nothing like that, and I wouldn't want to see anything like that. Let them walk, and if it's too much walking, I'm sure they're going to drop out. I just don't see the issue, and I don't see a good issue by saying you can't walk. So, anyone else, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this is Alderman Tolick. Just a quick comment. I am certainly not opposed to any walkers in the parade, but if it's a trade-off between walkers and expanding the parade route, I would be more in favor of expanding the route and just going through the neighborhoods if that means having a motorized parade. I was directly involved and drove a vehicle in the holiday parade last Christmas, and there were many people that came out into their front lawns and were very excited. I would like to see a little bit of an expanded parade route and expanding into neighborhoods. Again, I'm not opposed to walkers, but I would be very much in favor of maybe a little bit quicker parade that can cover more of the city. That's just my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else, please?
Alderman Quinn. I just wanted to echo what Matt said. I actually like what he just said, because although I think walkers, if it's a scout troop, I think that's terrific. But considering that this is going to be one of the first live events that we have in the community, I think there's probably a lot of people who have been very sheltered, and being able to see, dressed up vehicles and flags and balloons and things go through their neighborhood, it might be very inspiring and happy for everybody. So maybe that is the better solution, is to expand it, have the vehicles go. It's, you know, a safe kind of route. It's more or less planned. We could let people know what the map area is, and then people could come out in their own neighborhoods and, you know, do neighborhood sort of events. I do actually like that idea.
This is Morgan Adams, and what I agree with expanding the area. I think that Mayor made a good point that people could drop out if the walking's hard. I don't think we should eliminate walking. Maybe walkers could, you know, have a place in one of the vehicles that's going that they could get into. I don't know how we would do it, but we can organize it and try to figure that out. There was a question that came up that Deputy Schulteis raised as to whether there was going to be any refreshments or food at District 23, and I didn't hear the city give us any answers on that. So my question is, number one, I agree with what Alderman Dolick says and Alderman Quinn about expanding the area. However, I don't agree that we should eliminate walking. But I also want to ask about, is it possible for us to have refreshments or any food for the residents at all at District 23?
Go ahead, Joe.
In place, is the question in place of the Canaan Church? I think we'd probably, the city would need to take on the responsibility for that. We can add staff for it. It's a day of staff work. And we'd also need something to prepare the food. I don't think we're really set up to prepare food. We haven't done that in the past. It really was the good graces of the church. We can rent equipment if you'd like.
What if there was like a food truck option, or maybe like a Kona ice truck, or I know like the Dairy Queen sometimes will come out to some of the softball games. Like maybe you could, see if any vendors are interested in being there.
That's a great idea.
We can try that.
But I don't think the city really has to provide, a lunch or refreshments. I mean.
Yeah, it's not really something that we do, but we can see if we can find food trucks.
Yeah, food trucks is a great idea.
People to go to our restaurants afterwards, because families, it's a holiday weekend. They're either going to have a cookout at their house, but maybe we could really encourage people to go to, our various restaurants after the event. And Joe, I have one other question. What is the exact mileage of the route as it stands in previous years versus the idea of doing the one that you guys were discussing now?
Mr. Mayor,
the longest route is from that we've had in the past is from the Metro train station parking lot. That's what we're not recommending that. That's great if you're in a car, but if you're walking, that's pretty far to Upper Schoenbeck. So, I mean, certainly we'll do whatever the council desires, but that's not what staff is recommending. If it's a motorized parade, we can expand it as the holiday parade go all over the city. If it's a walking parade, we'd recommend that it be shortened. I mean, you're thinking of 8, 10-year-old kids, 12-year-old kids. That's a long walk, and much of that stretch along Camp McDonald, you're passing Wheeling, the industrial area, and so forth. So we've thought that shortening it from St. Alphonsus is better, but we'll do whatever is requested.
So the length of the current route would be 1.5 miles if you start at St. Alphonsus and end up at Betsy Ross. So 1.5 miles.
I think that thank you, Danielle. I think we're better off expanding the parade, and although I don't like getting rid of the walking, I think expanding it to more areas is I think a better trade-off for the residents, because I agree they've been stuck in, due to the pandemic, and I think they would appreciate seeing the parade be in their area. Like when I say their area, I mean, we only are covering a very short area, so trying to expand it into other areas would really be a big benefit.
So now the question posed then is what's in Ward, 1, 5, or 2, or that we could use as a staging area?
Well, couldn't we stage it at the same place and still hit all the other wards? Is there any reason why we can't if it's motorized?
I mean, I guess you'd have to go east and then go back west.
Well, I think we should leave that up to the staff to plan and develop. They already have an initial plan. Joe, would that be something that the staff can work on, updating?
Oh, absolutely. If it's motorized, we can route it to over the east side of the city, Piper, some of the streets over there, Apple, cut back, and then go. I mean, once it's a motorized parade, that greatly increases the flexibility.
I agree. Again, this is Alderman Dolick. Again, going back to the holiday parade, we snaked through just about every part of the city, and it actually ended at Palwaukie Plaza. But because it was motorized, between the police department, public works, fire department, we snaked through every part of the city, and it moved much faster than walkers can keep up with. And we hit every part of the city, and people were, again, just standing out in their front yards, applauding. And I'm not opposed to any of the other options, but I think that non-walkers, just a motorized parade, would hit every part of the city, and that's my opinion. I think we should. My opinion is I think that would be the best option. We can expand the route, and in the same amount of time, within an hour, we can snake through every part of the city and get everyone involved, including the east side, as you mentioned, Joe, the Piper Lane area, a lot of places that aren't available to come out to a parade. That's just my opinion, and I'll leave it at that.
I think that's a great idea, Matt.
Yeah, I would also support the motorized parade if it gives us the ability to expand into the wards on the east side of the city.
Morgan Adams, I would agree with that as well, and I also like Alderman Dash's idea of the food trucks, because it's nice you can tell them to go to a restaurant, but we have a lot of residents and we don't have that many. Forget the restaurant issue. I mean, people should go to restaurants, but I think getting the food trucks would be a nice touch. It would give people a reason to go over to District 23, and I think it's not going to be the same as the Hebron Church, but at least it would be something nice.
We'll contact our vendors and as well as others. Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I know Dairy Queen has a cart that they use because they bring it out to our softball tournament. Reaching out to Prospect Heights, restaurants, that would be great.
I can make one suggestion, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, please.
That if we're thinking about a motorized route, and we're concerned about food at the end, maybe we'll consider ending at Prospect Crossing or something like that where there's already established restaurants. I feel it's going to be tough to get vendors to come to the end of our parade for just a short duration, especially if most of the traffic or the parade is motorized. So we'll think about different options. So we're not relying on trying to get someone to come for a short duration event.
I agree.
Yeah. I think that's a great idea because it's really tough right now. And that's going to be one of the first events, holidays coming up. So it's not worth it for everyone to go crazy over it, as long as people have water, I guess, for that. It's going to be different, but since they're not walking, I don't think that's going to be the same issue as if you had a walking crowd. And let's push them to local businesses.
On that note, I'd like to make a comment. This is Treasurer Tibbits. First of all, I'd like to say that the last time we did a parade, we started at St. Alphonse and went to the Hebron Church. Secondly, has any consideration been given to continuing the parade down Willow all the way to Hersey, rather. Hersey High School and ending there, and now you've got a shopping center right across the street if people want to partake that way.
Well, you've got a car problem too, if it's a non-walking event.
Rich, that's where I was talking about Prospect Crossings, the shopping center where the Tony's and the chicken joint and the bread and butter, all those places are there.
Yeah.
Right,
I think
but
that's
they
a
also
good idea.
need their own parking. You're bringing in the cars that are in the parade, right?
But if we were able to wind up at Hersey High School, which is right across the street, the parking wouldn't be an issue.
I'm not sure if District 214 agrees with that, but we could try it. But let the staff do this. They've spent a lot of time on this, and all of you have come up with some good ideas. So let them go to the next phase and bring it back at the next meeting. Joe, any problem with that?
No, I think we have direction. We'll start working on this tomorrow as far as getting a route and a termination point. We've got the points about food and also visibility to all the neighborhoods, east side, central, west side. We'll work on it starting tomorrow.
All right, let's move on then. Thank you.
Item D is the City Council is aware, State of Illinois as well as the Center for Disease Control have adjusted the guidelines regarding COVID-19 safety practices. We have a report tonight by Assistant City Administrator Falcone, and this also is a product of a city committee of all the department directors, basically the city's executive staff. So, Peter, go ahead.
Thank you, Administrator Wade. As Joe had mentioned, this is very similar to the parade report. Staff is just looking for direction from the council. Since the beginning of the pandemic, the city has followed all CDC and State of Illinois guidelines. Generally what happens is the State of Illinois just follows whatever the CDC puts out there. And we follow that. Most importantly of those guidelines was that all staff and all visitors were required to wear face coverings when social distancing was not a possibility. And as Joe had mentioned, May 17th, the CDC changed their guidelines, and then the State of Illinois followed suit. So that now any vaccinated individuals, fully vaccinated individuals, no longer need to follow the mask mandate or the social distancing. We as a city, like any other, even a private business, can impose our own requirements over what the state and what the CDC is recommending. So right now we're just looking towards the council, the mayor and council, to see if you'd have any issues with staff following CDC guidelines, the new updated CDC guidelines, or if you want us to stay with the more restrictive guidelines where masks are required. If we do switch over to the new updated CDC guidelines and follow those, please know that we would put out proper notifications, proper posters, so that people would know that if they are vaccinated, they would no longer need to follow the mask mandate or the social distancing mandate. However, if they were not vaccinated for whatever reason, those would still apply. And council needs to understand that there's really no way for staff in that situation to verify someone has been vaccinated. So it would be the honor system like any other situation. I just went to Walgreens today before the meeting, and they have a big sign saying that if you're fully vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask. And me being fully vaccinated, I walked in without a mask. No one at Walgreens asked me for my papers or anything like that, so it would be the same situation. So we're just asking council to make sure, or to give us a little direction if they would want us to follow the new upgraded or updated CDC guidelines.
Mayor, I have a question.
Yes.
This is Alderman Quinn. Are we no longer doing the passport in the lobby at City Hall?
Well, I was there Saturday and they were not there, so I'd have to get back to the library to see. I thought they were planning it for quite a long period of time, so I'm not sure what happened this past Saturday.
Mayor, this is Director Peterson. I can answer Alderman Quinn's question. The library is wrapping up their construction, and they're just about ready for full occupancy, so I think they're gearing down on their passport work at this time, from what I've been told. So they're getting ready for their transitioning in back into full services.
Okay, so my point is the women who are in the entryway. I don't think the staff and the rest of the building need to have masks if everybody knows everyone's vaccinated. But the public-facing people, I feel like for their own safety, wearing masks at this time might be a better, because they can still catch COVID regardless of their status of being vaccinated. So I would think that the employees that are facing the public, just for their own safety, might keep those masks. And I know they're behind a wall and all that kind of stuff, but
well, and Alderman Quinn, I understand your concern, and anybody that walks into City Hall, whether you work here or not, would have that option. I mean, we provide masks for all our staff members and even for visitors that come in. So this is more of a, someone will always have that option to wear a mask if they so choose. They can, even if they're fully vaccinated, they can wear a mask, 2 masks, a face shield, whatever they so desire. This is more of if we're going to follow CDC guidelines, the updated ones, or stay with the more restrictive where we're making people wear masks.
I would support following the updated CDC guidelines.
This is Morgan Adams, Alderman Morgan Adams. I would also support the updated CDC guidelines, and I think that would be the best way to go. Obviously, individual private businesses can make their own regulations. I mean, so even if the city adopts that, and I think they should, that doesn't prevent a private business from requiring a mask for everyone.
I would agree.
Well, if there are no other comments, our next step, I believe, Mr. Hess may enlighten us, that we could receive direction, staff could receive direction from the council tonight to put together an ordinance or whatever is required so that we can vote on it at that point. Mr. Hess, are you on the air?
Yes, I'm here. Correct, Mayor. A resolution would be sufficient at the staff's direction, and we can help prepare that when direction is ready from Mr. Wade and yourself.
All right. Let's go ahead then and let the staff prepare CDC guidelines, method of following unless there's a real objection for a real good reason. And most businesses that I've talked to this past month have every intention of doing that, but not overnight. They need guides and guidelines to get it done. So I recommend we look to a resolution at the next meeting and vote on that resolution. Any comments on that? All right, then we move on, Joe.
Those are the titled reports, Mr. Mayor, and otherwise it's elected officials, staff, and other staff members' reports.
All right, let's
wherever
go
you would
with
like
your...
to begin.
I'm sorry. No, we'll have our city clerk call the roll for staff. I'm sorry, Alderman, and see if they have any comments visually. Go ahead, Joanna.
Okay, Michelle Cameron, Ward 1.
Hi, good evening. I don't have anything tonight, thank you.
Thank you. Kathleen Quinn, Ward 2.
I do have a report. I had the best visit in Prospect Heights to the Isaac Walton Park. They have this wonderful show of artwork that was done by Mara Lucetto and Kate Tully. I know Mara is an art teacher, and these people have done this beautiful, beautiful display of art within the park. And so I just encourage all the residents to take a minute and go over there. You can pack a picnic lunch. There's a little, picnic hut there, but it's right on the slough. And it was incredible, and I hope as a city we promote it some more to the residents on our website, because it's a beautiful respite for anybody in the community. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Ward 3, Wendy Morgan Adams, please.
Yes, I was very happy. We had a wonderful ribbon cutting ceremony at Garfield's on Friday. Alderman Dash, myself, and Treasurer Tibbits, Mayor Heller, and other staff are all present. And I'm very impressed with the liquor store, with their inventory and stock, and the way they set everything up in the store. And I think it's going to be a big benefit to our community to have Garfield's. I was very impressed with what they have to offer to the residents of our town. I hope that our residents will shop there and will go buy alcohol and liquor, and that will be good for our sales tax as well. Revenue. In addition, I wanted to also make reference to another very important thing for our revenue, which has to do with restoring local funding back to Illinois communities, including Prospect Heights. Next week, the state is the budget proposal from the state includes a 10% cut, $152 million from LGDF, local government distributed funds, for this coming fiscal year. And I was very happy to see, in addition to being very pleased with the fact that our city passed a resolution to support the restoration of the local funding and to fight this proposal of the state, that there was many legislatures, both from the House and the Senate. We had Donald DeWitt from the Senate and many of the House members, and Anthony DeLuca and many Senate members sending letters in support of not cutting the local distributed fund, government distributed fund monies. It's costing Prospect Heights in the vicinity of $170,000 a year. They starting in 2011, they reduced it from 10% to just now over 6%. It impairs our budgets. It puts a big strain on our finances. We are, as a non-home rule community, we are even more dependent on those LGDF funds than other communities. And I think that the more support we can get, the better. And I was happy to see that these letters were done, and that the legislators, the peers, are pursuing and supporting not cutting our LGDF funds any further, and to restore them to their prior rates, so that we can have the money we need for funding. And I also want to add the fact that the state doesn't even know at this point how they have to decide sometime in the next coming week or so how they're going to allocate the American Rescue Plan Act funding. They haven't determined that yet, and where it's going to come from. So there's some problems with the state. And the fact that people say, oh, we're going to get some funding, that's a one-time thing, and we don't even know when or where or how we're going to get it. So We all should be supporting it. I'm glad that the aldermen voted in favor of our resolution, and I'm happy to see our legislators are also fighting back.
All right, back to Joanna.
Alderman Dash, please.
Yes, good evening. Yeah, I would like to also comment on the Garfield ribbon cutting that happened last Friday. It really was fantastic to meet the owners of Garfield. Bruce and his son Dave were there. He had his manager Mark there, who is also Polish speaking, which I think is an excellent compliment to complement our Deli for You business there, where a lot of our Polish American shoppers frequent. So the event was very, very nice. Again, it was nice to meet the owners, and we were very grateful and thanked them for deciding to do business in Prospect Heights. And as part of trying, again, to promote people shopping in Prospect Heights, I made 2 purchases at Garfield's over the weekend, and just my purchases alone, on my receipt, it very clearly shows on there how much goes to the city of Prospect Heights, and just my 2 purchases alone was $16.68. And I'm just one person, so I am using Facebook to spread the word. I do have a Facebook page set up at Alderman Dash, and I put on there, make sure to promote Garfield. I put copies of my receipts. If anyone would like to follow my page, again, it's at Alderman Dash. I have about 70 people following, so not a ton, but again, anything we can do to spread the word to promote our local businesses, I think is very important. And then also, I have been trying to make an effort to meet with our various departments and our other agencies. So I've completed my airport tour, spent 2 really great days over there, understanding their operations, touring their facilities, meeting with some of their operators. And this week I will be touring with Mike Prisiajniouk and learning more about code enforcement, not only in the 4th Ward, but throughout the city. I plan also to meet with our Public Works team, and I've also got an invitation from our police chief to tour his building and get a better understanding of what they're doing. So I look forward to tackling those as time goes on. And that's my report.
Thank you. Who's next?
Alderman Dolick, Ward 5.
Thank you. I have no report this week.
Police Chief Jim Zalaki, do you have a report for us tonight?
Yeah, I have a few things. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Earlier today, Mayor Helmer and Karen swore in one of our newest officers. I'd like to just say a few things about him. His name is Victor Castillo. He's the second oldest of 4 children who grew up in Melrose Park. Graduated from West Leiden High School and has an associate's degree from College DuPage. Before coming to us, he worked as a security officer at Fermilab. He's married, and in his free time, he spends time with his 2 horses, he told me, and he fishes, plays soccer, and just hangs out with his family and friends. He'll be starting the police academy June 28th, so gives him a good month to get his feel for being around here and getting some things done, so when he gets out of the academy, be that much of a head start with us. Also, one of our part-time officers, Todd Collins, who's been with us for 3.5 years, we hired him on as a full-time officer. He started May 16th to fill our other second police opening we had. So we welcome him to his easy transition. He's already been to the academy, and he worked with us, like I said, 3.5 years. So he just moved right into a full-time position. So he, knew everything. We also are taking applications. Our list had expired. So we have applications for new officers through June 21st. If anyone's interested or knows of anybody who wants to be a Prospect Heights officer, they can go on theblueline.com or iosolutions.com, and we're having our first test July 17th. So applications are due by the 21st of June. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Director of Building and Development, Dan.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Very limited report tonight. Do want to say that our permits are still strong in the department. I want to thank Daryl and Mike and Jen for picking up the slack during my short respite here. We have good news from the Connor building on Piper Lane, a subsidiary of Samsung Communications is taking about $45,000. They started work in there on their office build out, and that's moving along, and they should be getting some temporary occupancy to start their warehousing and distribution here in the next couple of weeks. With that, that's all I have this evening, Mayor.
Thank you.
Public Works Director, Mark Roscoe.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, city staff, and guests and residents. Real quick one tonight, Mr. Mayor. Spring's always a busy time for Public Works, from tree removal to our trees that didn't make it through the winter to mowing, summer growth. We've had a few calls from residents about line of sight issues where they're concerned about a branch that's blocking their view as they're turning in an automobile or as a pedestrian. So we've been doing a lot of those line of sight issues. And about a week or so ago, we had our meeting with the Army Corps of Engineers about Levy 37 and our annual review. And Mr. Mayor, the levee's doing great. All the maintenance and all the work we've done is acknowledged by the Army Corps and the Illinois Department of Natural Resources. So we're really happy on the east side that the levee's in place and it's being maintained the proper way. So that's it, sir.
Mark, I know you're doing good work over there because I hear about it. I just want to remind myself, are you working with Mount Prospect? Remember, they gave us a $75,000 grant to finish the levee wall. And it's good to keep in touch with Cassidy and the other people down there. And they have a new mayor also, as you know. So I know you probably call them every day and offer them a cup of coffee, right?
You know, we don't have interaction that often with Mount Prospect, but we do work well together. Some of their crew and my crew meet each other when they're doing maintenance on the wall. The Army Corps, of course, just managed our project for the inspection. They went right to Mount Prospect to review their portion of it. So we do have good communication, sir.
Good. Good. Keep it up. Thank you. Joanna?
Yes, city. No, I don't know if he hears us.
I lost you. I don't know if someone else did also. City. I hear you. Do you hear me?
All right. We can get back to him. Attorney John O'Driscoll.
This is Jim Hess. I'm here for Attorney O'Driscoll tonight. There's no attorney's report.
Thank you. If you have a report.
No report tonight. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Deputy Clerk Schulteis.
Thank you. No report.
And a city administrator assistant Peter Falcone.
No report.
Thank you, Peter. And Joe Wade, city administrator.
Just maybe a little bit to add to Finance Director Grafin's report, and this is oftentimes the case. Finance directors are maybe a little bit more positive than managers. Managers have a kind of a different view, and we're still very concerned about the loss of hotel motel tax. As the council's aware, that is restricted use, but being one of the areas it's paid for, it pays for police services, police wages. So we're concerned about that. I'm very thankful Alderman Morgan Adams referenced the concern about LGDF, local government distributive funding. That's about $170,000 that could be a loss to the city. The council's also aware that we have one open position that has not been filled because of the COVID recession. That's a position in the police department. So I just wanted to offer a different perspective on the financial report for this year. I just have a couple of concerns that I don't think are maybe readily apparent, but nonetheless are very real. And that's all.
Thank you, Joe. Maybe we can circle back to City Treasurer Rich Tibbits. Can you hear us, Rich?
I thought you forgot about me. I'm glad that Alderman Quinn mentioned Isaac Walton Park because it's right down the street from where I live. And yes, my wife and I have walked through there several times lately, and it's really booming. And there's a lot of art that's being displayed, and it's worth the trip. To take a little trip over there and take a look at what they've put into that place. But beyond that, I have no report. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. I'm going to put myself last. I just have a question for everyone. But I'd like to also call out our digital communications technician, Pat Colvin, if he's with us. Do you have a report for us?
No report, thank you.
You're very welcome. I don't actually have a report, but I wanted to add back to supporting our local businesses as far as the 4th of July, and this may be an idea for all 4th of Julys, to have some sort of a coupon table, where the parade ends, like we're going to have it ending at District 23 with food trucks. Maybe we can also have a table where there can be some incentives with coupons and such for the weekend or the evening for our residents. That's something maybe we can work with the staff as well as an idea as to how to organize something like that. That was something I thought of after we had spoken about this subject, how to engage and support them. So if anyone has any ideas, we can obviously talk about that a little bit more, how else we can bring visibility for them for the 4th of July weekend. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else, Joanna?
I believe we have, I don't know, Sherry Grayson has an additional report.
Well, let Joe take it over. You're on item 6, Joe, I believe, consent agenda.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes, sir. There are no items on consent agenda tonight.
All right, and then old business, none?
That's correct.
Okay, new business. What do you have there?
Well, we have first reading, and this follows the mayor and council discussion and direction regarding the compensation for members of the Board of Fire and Police Commissioners, as well as the Plan Commission Zoning Board of Appeals. So the proposed ordinance reflects what the mayor and council's direction was, but it's only first reading. No vote tonight.
All right, well, we could waive the first reading, can't we? I mean, what are we waiting for?
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Joe, finish up, and then we'll get Alderman Quinn.
We didn't post it for a waiver of first reading.
All right, let's move on. Alderman Quinn?
This was Alderman Dash.
Okay.
All right, so I certainly support what we're trying to accomplish here. I would just say, reading the proposed ordinance under paragraph C, it talks about paying the board members monthly, and then below in the compensation section, it talks about paying quarterly. And when I was on the board, I think we got paid yearly. So I think maybe we'll just need to clean up when exactly they would be paid.
Good. Typically, we're paying on a monthly monthly basis, but Joe can correct that and bring this back for a final reading next time.
Right, so that.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. That's my mistake. I missed it in the review.
So I think we just need to make sure that we're consistent with when they will be paid. And then I think there's also some inconsistency in, for example, in C in the chart, it says that we're paying them monthly that amount. And then in the compensation paragraph, it's on a per meeting basis. So that I think should be clarified.
Joe, if I may, this is Assistant Administrator Falcone. We can definitely clean up any language. None of that's all language that's from the original code. But the Section 3 part, the compensation, that is for the police fire. The compensation above that, the box where it says chairperson board, that's PZBA. So this ordinance changes both the PZBA compensation and police and fire. But if there's something that's not correct that the aldermen want changed, we can definitely update the code. But the only thing that's been altered, either in Section 2 or Section 3, was just the dollar amounts that the council and the mayor wanted increased. So
Okay.
we can definitely change whatever you want.
Okay, so I'm reading it out of context then. This is just piecemeal then, because I just didn't see in Section 3 where it clarifies that now we're specifically talking about the police board. So yeah, again, I support what we're trying to accomplish here. I would just say that there were just some inconsistencies when I read this ordinance, so I'll just leave it up to staff to just take a quick look at that.
Joe, I have a question. This is Alderman Quinn. We just spent a little bit of time talking about the lack of funds, including from the hotel motel tax and some other things that we might be faced with. What was the purpose for this huge, what I see as a huge increase? And I'm not disputing that people aren't working hard and all that good stuff. But right now, when we have a lot of residents who don't even have jobs, who have lost jobs, lost funds, why are we raising these volunteer positions, essentially, or appointed positions now? And it's going to be around, not quite $9,000 a year, but we're looking for places to cut corners, and yet we're spending this money now. Why?
Well, let me answer that if I could. That remuneration, take for example Bruce Mellon. He's been receiving $24 a month for a long time. But that's not even the case. That's even worse for other people that are on there. It's an insult. And these people aren't volunteers. They have to be there. They have to make decisions. And they will be held, if there's a lawsuit or something, they will be held responsible for what they voted for. Not that this would take care of any problems they have. It won't. That's why executives in the real world make a lot more money than that. So it's just time to show that we appreciate what they do. It's time to show that $24 a month, come on. It's also a situation, if they do not attend, I believe Peter has that language, if it's not in there, it will be, that if they don't attend a monthly meeting, they won't be paid. So it's, why are you getting the money you're getting? Let's cut off the alderman's salaries, not salaries, but stipends. The hotel structure and problems with the hotel, in my opinion, have nothing to do with this. So,
well, my point was that we had several conversations tonight about, money, and we've had over the last couple months about money. This has been a very tight year, obviously, for lots of reasons. And again, I'm not disputing people's works. I think all of us are professionals and probably on a lot of boards where we get no stipends whatsoever. I'm not disputing that. My question is, why now? Why can't we wait until the end of year when things sift out a little bit. I don't understand why we're doing it now. And it is a huge amount of money increase.
Let's percentage-wise, you might think it is, yes. How about the fact, did you listen to the $1 million plus swing to the positive? You're not mentioning that at all. Maybe we should be paying them $1,000 a month based on that kind of, that kind of look-see. No, I don't agree with you at all. What is your remuneration, Alderman Quinn? What do you get a month?
$250 a month. And yours is
200
$500. It's public record, as you know.
I do know, but maybe we can go back to good old days, 25 years ago, where everybody was a volunteer. And there are other cities that have volunteers, you're right. But in this case, it's just an insult, and there's no reason to do that. These are good people. They work very hard and they stand liable for what they do and get taught. So that's my thought. Anyone else, please?
So we're covering them because of the liability, so they're not covered by our liability insurance, is what you're saying?
You know, you're banging on a dead drum here, and I wish you'd stop.
I was just trying to get an answer to my question.
Yes, well, you've gotten several answers to your question. Why don't you come in, sit down with me and Joe, and let's talk it through so that you'd be satisfied or not satisfied. But this is no time to go through this. Everybody agreed at the last meeting to go ahead with that type of image. It was a 5-0 vote. We can change anything anytime, but I think this is the right thing to do. I don't get anything more. You don't get anything more. People that work probably at times harder than you and I do, they're getting some recognition. It's not money, it's recognition. Next.
I just wanted, this is Morgan Anders. I just wanted to support, Mayor, what you said. I mean, some of these meetings on the zoning board are 4 or 5 hours long or 6 hours and go for days. I mean, these people work really hard. We voted 5-0, as you said. We discussed this at length last time. I don't know why Alderman Quinn's bringing it up now when we've already voted. I think there's just no reason. It was an insult, and we're remedying that, and I think that's really the answer.
Thank you. Can we move on, please?
I would agree. This is Alderman Dolick. I think that the hard work that they go through, they deserve this compensation. So that's my end comment.
Thank you for your comments. Back to where we were. Joe, you're in charge.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's just first reading tonight, so if there's no further discussion, we have slated for the next discussion topic, Greater Wheeling Area Chamber of Commerce. And I understand Madam Clerk, who's done some work on this, will not be at the next workshop meeting, so we're asking if we can move this to July. Is that correct? Did I get that message correct, Karen?
Yes, that's correct, Joe. I indicated that today. I unfortunately found that out that I have a conflict that day.
Thank you.
Okay, let's keep going then.
Which brings us to item 10, approval of the warrants.
We have a total for the warrants in the amount of $335,486.76. We have the next wire payments on May 7th, 2021. Payroll posting amounted to $163,227.74. On May 18th, 2021, the police funding was $90,425.81. And the April Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund amounted to $20,560.52, bringing the entire total warrant to $609,700.83 for our council's approval tonight.
Motion to approve the warrants as presented.
So moved, Morgan Adams.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Further discussion on these items? If there are any, please identify yourself. There being none, let's go ahead with a roll call.
Alderman Dolick,
Aye.
Alderman Morgan Adams,
Aye.
Alderman Quinn,
Aye.
Alderman Cameron,
Aye.
Alderman Dash.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Joe, what do we have? Public comments or
Yes, sir. Item 11.
Okay. Are there any comments, public comments on,
We don't have anyone registered, but once again.
Okay, I know that right now.
Yeah, yes, I'm just repeating, and this would be a good time if anyone would like to speak up and have any comments that they would like to address.
All right. Is there anyone there in the audience or on the phone that has any comments on non-agenda matters? All right, there being none, can we move on for the executive session for the purpose of, Joe?
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, we are requesting an executive session tonight to discuss collective bargaining.
Okay. Motion to
And
go
we'll
in
need it.
executive session. All right, we have a motion. We have a second.
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 All right, yes, second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Make a motion to resume the meeting.
The regular
Second.
meeting.
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Roll call, please.
Alderman Dolick,
Aye.
Alderman Quinn,
Aye.
Alderman Morgan Adams,
Aye.
Alderman Cameron,
Aye.
Alderman Dash.
Aye.
All right, so we're back in regular session. What's next, Jim? We didn't take any action.
Oh, correct. Just as long as Peter can confirm that we've rejoined the rest of the meeting, we can move on to agenda item number 13. And obviously, we should just announce to the public that if there's no action to be required, we can move on to 14.
Let's move forward.
All right, so we're moving forward by doing what? By saying there was no action to be taken?
Correct. We can inform the public, if Joe Wade is still on the line, he can inform the public that we are number 13, and that there is no action to be taken, so we can move on to adjournment.
That's correct, Jim. No action to be taken. We can move to adjournment.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn, please.
So moved, Morgan Adams.
We have a motion, we have a second. Roll call, please.
Alderman Cameron,
Honey.
Aye.
Alderman Dolick,
Aye.
Alderman Quinn,
Aye.
Alderman Dash,
Aye.
Alderman Morgan Adams.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Have a good evening. Say good night. Thank you.